My name is Salah Hassan, Professor of Strategic Brand Management at the GW School of Business. Welcome to this segment of Brand Talk. We have with us this afternoon Ms. Shoshana Stewart, CEO of Turquoise Mountain. Hello, Shoshana. Thank you for joining us.
Dr. Hassan, thank you so much for having us. This has been the most incredible experience for Turquoise Mountain. As I've said to you before, it is perfectly timed for us.
Turquoise Mountain obviously focuses on high-end handmade luxury crafts. Can you take us through the journey of how it came about to focus on the high-end premium segment? What are the reasons? And how can you design handmade craft brands that are focused on the premium segment? Two aspects oftentimes are referred to as they relate to the equity of the luxury brands. The emotional equity as it relates to the prestige of the brand and building that image of prestige. And the other aspect is functional equity as it relates to premium quality, design elements. So how did you combine the two aspects of emotional as well as functional equity in building up the Turquoise Mountain brand as a high-end luxury brand of handmade crafts?
We are, you asked about our journey toward becoming a luxury premium brand in Afghanistan and going from there. In some sense, I sort of hope we're there. I'm not sure we're there yet. We have a lot of work to do. So this is so perfectly timed for us to really grow the industry in a more calculated way, I suppose. So if I look back to your question of how we've built the brand, I think part of it is about economics and about the situation of Afghanistan, and part of it is just the raw materials we find there, which is an incredible design tradition and actually a history of quality. So to go back to the economics, we were put in Afghanistan in 2006 by the Prince of Wales and President Karzai to do two things: rebuild the center of the old city and rebuild the traditional craft industry, which was 5–10 years away from completely dying out. It was held in the hands of a few of the older generation in each craft, and that's it. So we began to retrain a younger generation in doing these things. And we learned very quickly that training really doesn't matter if they can't make a living off of these things. So of course we started to try to sell them. But we learned some very difficult lessons. Afghanistan can't compete with India, China, Pakistan on price. This is not a race to the bottom for Afghans. A lot of reasons for that. One is that it is a landlocked country with very difficult internal infrastructure, very difficult borders. So shipping is expensive. And you've had a huge amount of aid into the country, and so wages are inflated, the economy is inflated, and it takes a very long time to make handcrafted goods. I mean, the tradition is handcrafted. And so all of these things meant that the products needed to be high quality, very well designed, completely handmade products for international export markets. This is not about chintzy items made that you pick up when you're on holiday, because no one goes on holiday anyway. So I think the journey was one of necessity to why we've pointed at the top of the market. But I think the question of the word luxury is very, very important. It's interesting, but it's also very important for the Afghan craft industry going forward. We're in quite a unique position as Turquoise Mountain in that we feel we have the responsibility to grow the industry. It's still in quite a fragile state. As I said, when we found it, there were a handful of the older generation still producing, and that's it. They hadn't passed it down. You have people living in refugee camps, living outside of Afghanistan, living within Afghanistan, but not where they grew up. These traditions simply hadn't been passed down. So we have trained nearly 1,000 artisans to produce to international export standards. And we sold $4 million worth of this stuff, which is a lot, and we're proud of it, but it's not an entire industry. So we have this position right now of needing to lead the industry to a place where it doesn't need us anymore. And so if we look at the word luxury, the things I worry about are, can we meet that promise? You talked about emotional and functional equity there. So when we look at the jewelry here, or a piece of these ceramics I really think of too. They're beautiful. I think the design elements are there. I think it's unique. I think it's a high design standard. The quality has to be kept. That's always going to be difficult. But there's also the experience, the luxury experience, which is everything from packaging to shipping to communications, et cetera. So well, I need to make sure that we're able to meet that promise. I think we can. And the second part of it, the emotional part of it, the prestige, I think there's a real opportunity with luxury, which is, as your students pointed out to me, which I had never really thought about. The idea of a socially conscious luxury brand is very rare. There isn't a lot of that out there. And so we have an opportunity to be that. I hadn't thought of this either, but as we were walking down the street, you said luxury with heart. We may be able to, I think that may capture what we're going for, because I don't want to lose the socially conscious consumer that we're trying to target by simply saying luxury, but I think we may be able to deal with that. And the reason that that's such an opportunity for Afghanistan and for us is that this is a brand built on a story of rebuilding the old city, which is pride in beautiful architecture, it's families, it's a clinic with 25,000 patients a year, it's a primary school, it's kids flying kites. There is a real story of a community rebuilding itself and a younger generation rebuilding its country. So I think that works very well. So I think using luxury going forward is something I very much want to do. I think it will be difficult, but I think that we should do it, or rather luxury with heart.
Thank you, Shoshana, for offering us such a detailed reply on the luxury branding. Now let's take this discussion a little further here in how the luxury brand, is there a paradox on, luxury, high-end, handcraft jewelry, and then from Afghanistan? No? Is there a paradox related to the Afghan made? How the Afghan made supports the image of luxury in that respect? And what role have Turquoise Mountain played? And I know Turquoise Mountain have played a major role in revitalizing the handcrafts industry of Afghanistan. So can you shed a little more light on how high-end and I guess a brand with a heart meet somewhere in helping resurrect the Afghan industry and hopefully rebranding the Afghan made as it relates to the country of Afghanistan?
To me, it's a really exciting opportunity to rebrand Afghanistan, because obviously the Afghanistan that we know at the moment is one of bombs, burqas, the Taliban, AK-47s, etc. This has not always been the Afghanistan that everyone has known. I mean, this is a place that was famous for its lapis lazuli. This is found around the world. It almost all came from Afghanistan. It was the crossroads of the Silk Route. Our ancestors wouldn't necessarily have known Afghanistan in the same way that we did. So the chance to be a different face of the country, or to let a younger generation of Afghans be a different face of the country, is very, very exciting. Our goal in this is to rebuild an entire sector of the Afghan economy. This is about the entire craft industry, so that we can be Morocco, India, Thailand, Colombia, many, many countries have 10 to 20 percentage points of their GDP and of their workforce in crafts. Afghanistan can do that, or it can do a tenth of that, and it would be hundreds of thousands of people. So that's what we're looking to do, rebuild the craft sector. If we're going to have a craft sector that is vibrant, can run on its own, that's going to be a diverse ecosystem of businesses and of brands. So I think that Turquoise Mountain's role in that, I sort of view at the top of the pyramid. But I think that to lead it from the position of a premium brand is absolutely the right thing to do. It's because of necessity and opportunity. This is a chance to show the world Afghanistan through, again, lapis lazuli, high quality in craftsmanship and uniqueness of design. This is the idea of this romantic culture, far away, interesting, a crossroads of different cultures intersecting. So I think a premium brand is a tremendous opportunity. I think that it isn't probably right that that type of brand is forced on every single one of these small Afghan businesses. I feel as though we can and should lead the industry as the premium brand, but that a made in Afghanistan brand, and this is something that your class has been amazing at unpicking, a made in Afghanistan brand does need to be high quality. It does need to be heritage-led and driven. And it does need to be artisanal, handmade. But I'm not sure that it does need to be luxury. I think that Turquoise Mountain's role will be to hold the premium end of that, and that the other bits of this ecosystem will come in behind. So I think part of what has made the story and the brand the way it is, and something that we must keep going forward, is about what's inherently good about Afghanistan. One of the difficulties with the way that Afghanistan has interacted with the world, or perhaps the way the world has interacted with Afghanistan over the last decade, is to say, you're not doing democracy right, you're not treating women right, you don't build your roads right, etc. This project is basically saying Afghan art is beautiful, Afghan artisans have an incredibly deep tradition of craftsmanship and of design, and we're going to use that. We're going to use that to rebuild the country. So I think that is crucial going forward, that this is not only a story about young people and about communities, but a story about what is good about Afghanistan. It's using its own strengths.
Thank you for offering us such an eloquent reply to and simplifying such a complex phenomenon here. That's absolutely right on target. I want to take this occasion to thank Shoshana Stewart and thank the Turquoise Mountain organization for sponsoring one of our MBA teams to work on a project related to strategic brand management. As we know, strategic branding is such a multifaceted phenomenon, and we managed to pull together an interdisciplinary team to work with you, students coming from global communications, coming from the Elliott School for International Affairs, and coming from also the School of Media Studies and Public Affairs, in addition to our own MBA students, have been really heartfelt. You know, as we say at GW, bring us your passion, and you really brought us passion, and somehow these students managed to pull together a terrific project because they have this such a common passion for branding and nation branding as well. So thank you for sponsoring the team, and we look forward to future cooperation with Turquoise Mountain.
We are incredibly, incredibly grateful to you, and in particular to your students. I've done an MBA recently myself, and I know what it's like to sort of put in all this energy to finish a class. And they did so much more than that. I was so thrilled to get through the reports that you all sent, because it was thoughtful, serious, and actually incredibly broad and deep. When I saw that there was a packaging strategy included in this, I thought, wow, they've been really serious. They've given us tools to really do this. So thank you so much. It's been an immensely interesting experience, but also one that will basically make the Afghan craft industry much, much better. So thank you very much.